An external accessory viewfinder can enhance the image of your camera's viewfinder by magnifying and brightening it, while also providing a negative space for your regulator when you're using the housing underwater. Whether you're using the straight or the 45-degree viewfinder or a DL or DLM housing, the steps will all be the same, so let me show you how to put it together. First thing we're going to do is remove the viewfinder from the housing's clear back. So to do that, you'll notice that there is a slot in the viewfinder, and then if you use the tool, there'll be a slot in this side of the tool that is going to line up, mate down into that piece here, and then simply counterclockwise remove that viewfinder. It will unthread from the back. Make sure to keep this with your spare parts. Take a moment to visually inspect your ceiling surface. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to take the accessory viewfinder and I'm going to inspect the O-ring and I'm going to inspect the ceiling surface. I'm going to make sure that they're both clean and free of debris. I'm also going to take a moment here to take a little bit of the Ikelite lube. I'm going to put it onto the ceiling surface where that O-ring is going to make contact. Adding this lubrication to the surface isn't what's creating the seal, but it is going to provide a lubricant so that the O-ring doesn't bunch up as it starts to tighten. It doesn't take a lot. We're just going to put a little on that surface there, just enough to make it shiny. And any excess I have left on my finger, I'll just go ahead and apply that to the O-ring itself. This is a compression seal, but as it makes that final turn and that tighten, you don't want the O-ring to kind of bunch up. And it'll also help provide a nice visual of the O-ring getting compressed when you look at it from the inside. I'm going to take the accessory viewfinder. I'm going to start a thread. Make sure you don't cross the threads. Just take your time and make sure that you're getting a nice engagement. It should be a nice smooth movement. And then you're going to want to tighten this down until it stops. And then we'll finish tightening it down from the inside. So once that's bottomed out, now what I'm going to do is take the back off of the housing, release the locking lever, and lift up on both sides, and then on the top for a DL housing. And I'm going to lift that up over the hooks of the back. Now I can take my back off of my housing. I can set the front side, and this allows me to get to the viewfinder from the inside. Now on the same tool, you're going to notice on the opposite side there are two prongs. Those two prongs are going to correspond to the cutouts in the viewfinder itself. Now we've already tightened this down from the outside, so now what we're going to do from the inside is, because we have a different perspective, it is important to note that lefty-loosey, righty-tighty does not apply from this perspective. So you're going to want to actually loosen it or turn it counterclockwise from the inside, and that's going to finish tightening it to the case and creating the seal. Also, when you do this, take the opportunity to visually look at that O-ring and you'll see it compress. Make sure that's nice and snug without overdoing it. And you'll notice again, the compression of the O-ring occurred all the way around its circumference. And now we have a nicely tight sealed O-ring on our viewfinder. Now what we can do is put the back onto the front, and we'll create a vacuum inside and make sure we can check our work and everything is going to be waterproof. So reversing the order, we're going to put our housing back onto the front. Lift the lid hooks over onto the hooks, press down simultaneously on the left and right side until we hear it click. I'm going to lift and check to make sure that the lock's engaged, and then I'll do the same thing on the top. Now we're going to turn our attention to the vacuum valve on the side of the housing, push the button, we'll release the plug, insert the barbed end of the hose into that valve, you'll hear it click into place, and then we're going to vacuum the housing. Now, the exact amount of vacuum that you create isn't critical. What is critical is that there isn't a change in that vacuum. So what we want to look for when we initially create the vacuum is that our needle isn't gradually falling. If the needle is gradually falling, that means that air is getting in, and that means that water will get in. So we have a problem that we need to address. I often choose to go to the number 10 and then basically watch for the needle to fall. If the needle isn't falling, then what I do is remove the barb, and I want to let the housing sit under a vacuum, because I don't want this to be part of the test. I want just the housing. So anytime I take the barb out of the housing, I replace it with the cap, and vice versa. The valve is always plugged because you don't want to go to depth with that valve exposed. So I'll let this sit for as long as I can. Oftentimes it'll be overnight, but 20-30 minutes at bare minimum. And then what you want to do after that is you want to take your vacuum, plug it back in, and you'll watch the needle immediately jump to right where you left off. Now there is a little bit of air volume in the tube itself, so you may notice that it doesn't go exactly, but just a hair under. But we're looking for it to go back where it came from. And if you're really unsure about anything, keep in mind that you can do a dive without your camera and check for any leaks that way, just as a reassurance. Also note that you won't be able to open the housing while it's under a vacuum, so to release the vacuum you want to reinsert the barb and press the release button on your hand pump, or you can take a non-blunt object and stick it down in the valve, and that will release the vacuum, allowing you to open your system. If you have any questions whatsoever about adding an accessory viewfinder to your housing, drop us a comment down below, or as always, feel free to shoot an email to ikelite@ikelite.com.